member of Lamothe Sigma in Trenton, New Jersey. Served at every level, servant leadership at every level. Local level, chapter president, collegiate chapter. Alumni level, chapter president. Worked with state, providing state advice to our state directors. Regional level, served 4 years as a regional director of education. Served at an appointed international level by 2 international presidents, and also was elected several terms on the international level. I share that with you to simply say that I am a servant leader, and in every single position that I have served at, we've been able to provide measurable results, impact, deliverables. Professionally, I serve as the Assistant Director for the Department of Labor, where I oversee 450 employees, specifically to Social Security Administration. Again, I share that piece with you because that's what I do professionally, look at numbers, look how we produce, look how we perform on a weekly basis, and figure out how do we get to a better place, week in, week out, quarterly in, quarterly out, yearly in, yearly out. I am your international first vice president. Okay, we have been very successful. What I want to talk to you specifically about, we've been successful because of our plan. We have a proven record with respect to our platform, brother to brother. We've been able to provide a specific platform with respect to the 5 R's: recruitment, reactivation, reclamation, retention, and relationship building. Those 5 R's, brothers, they have enabled this fraternity to grow in a way that we've never grown before. Okay. Record-breaking growth, 12.5% over the 2 years during this administration. Never been done before. We have an opportunity, if given the opportunity to serve another 2 years, to continue to grow. Brothers, our plan has trickled down to the chapter level. We have measurable data that shows that Phi Beta Sigma is growing. We are growing, we're retaining brothers, we're bringing brothers back, bring our brothers back, and hopefully many of you saw the video that we had some past football players encouraging brothers to come back to Sigma, encouraging brothers, to get back into their communities. The things that we need to do, and again, when this vice president speaks about growth, we're not talking about for the simple sake of growing numbers, but growing so we can have impact on our college campuses and our respective communities. Again, brothers, I'm just going to say to you that we have a website, brotherjeanbillamont.com, that has our platform, it has our vision, it has our strategy, and it also has our Sigma resume. Thank you for the time. All right.
Man, I love it. You guys give us
Right, get into it.
Q&A. All right, brothers. So we are going to take questions from the floor. I saw. All right. All right. Let's do it this way. We're going to start from the top row and work our way down because I did see Brother Clayton's hand first. So Brother Winston Clayton. Now, brothers, I'm going to ask this. No soliloquies. Ask your questions because we want to give the candidates time to answer, okay? So, yes.
You want to get a list?
Yes, so I'm going to go Brother Winston Clayton first from the top. Then I'm going to go Brother Kevin Kaufman. Then I'm going to go Brother Victor Ajay, Brother Tom Spicer, Brother Butch Weeks, Brother Samuel here to my left, Brother Frat.
Ahmad, Frat.
No, behind you.
Oh,
I don't
know him, Frat. But I look better than him, Frat. You gotta remember my name.
Brother Dan Penix and Brother Ahmad and Brother Scotty Howard. You got it, Brother Jackson? In that order. Brothers, again, let's ask the questions or the speeches. All right, Brother Clayton, you are first.
All right, I just wanted to know, I'm hearing that Brother Rey's in New Jersey, and you in the state, why we've never seen you? Like, I'm here in North, I've never seen you at a Sigma event, you're not here, I understand you're on duty, whatever, but,
Okay, so your question, Brother Clayton, is why you're not
and then it's a two-part.
All right, so let's do this. So, because he can't hear you ask the question.
Okay.
So Brother Ray, the first part of the question is, if you are in Jersey, why this brother has not, why brothers have not seen you in New Jersey? And we'll give you 30 seconds to respond, because we have a lot of questions we want to get to.
I'll to the brother who asked the question,
You know, if you send me your information, I'll come and see you. But I mean, I work in New Jersey. I've spent time with some of the brothers that are there. But you know, I don't think that I have a direct invitation to come and meet every single brother. Again, just provide me your contact information. I will come in and we can sit down and chop it up. But I've been to chapters, some of the chapter events there in the state of New Jersey. But I do work. There. I'm up and down on the road. So brother, you know. So again, that's. I don't know why I haven't seen you either. So you know, we can get together. You know, ship your information.
You don't even know who he talking to. He can't even see you.
Wow, arrogant. Arrogant.
Gonna get nasty.
Wow.
Ooh.
Arrogant. Wow.
Your question, Brother Craig. Second part of your question.
Okay, back to what he was saying. I'm not saying see me personally. I'm just saying you in Jersey. We haven't seen you.
Your question, Brother Craig.
All right. What type of
Where has he showed up to?
Platform as far as First Vice? The main thing as a First Vice is membership. What could he do to as far as increase membership here in defunct chapters or establishing chapters in schools that Sigma might want to expand?
Okay, so Brother Ray, the question, and this is the question we're going to ask both candidates, because this is when we can ask both candidates, is what would you do to reactivate or bring back inactive or defunct chapters? We will give you 60 seconds, and then we'll give Brother Lamothe 60 seconds.
All right. When you talk about reactivate inactive chapters, and one of the first things that you want to do is make sure that you meet with the local grad chapter to make a determination on, first of all, why is the chapter not on the campus any longer, or why is there not a chapter, or why there's not a chapter in that local community. So you got to first ask those kind of questions to get some understanding, some clarity. Then we can utilize the blueprint. If we're talking about an alumni chapter, we can get the blueprint to identify brothers that are in that local area and maybe do some outreach to those individuals. If you're talking about on a college campus, then that's going to be a different type of strategy where we were working with the National Director of Collegiate Affairs, working with the collegiate leadership, and putting together a plan of action, because every campus is different, especially when you talk about if there's not a huge African American male population, and us working with some of the local alumni chapters to do events to be able to spark interest with the brothers, with the young men on that campus.
Thank you for the question, Brother Craig. We're actually doing that across the country in some places. I think the first step is to identify those inactive chapters. Once you identify those inactive chapters, look for the chapters that are closest in the community. Work with the state director to identify why that chapter went inactive. Try to bring some brothers back and incorporate them in the process. I think anytime you're going to be successful, you have to have a spirit of collaboration. So identify brothers who are part of the chapter who are no longer connected with the chapter. Bring them back and try to figure out how do you incorporate them in making the chapter inactive. And then you got to have a sustainability plan. Figure out how you're going to maintain success in that chapter so you don't fall back into being inactive again. But some of these things that I'm talking about, we're actually implement them across the country. So thank you for the question.
All right. Thank you, Brother Lamothe. Thank you, both brothers, for your answer and for your question, Brother Clayton. Next is Brother Kevin Kaufman.
I got a twofold question. I got a question for Brother Ray, I got a question for Brother Lamothe.
Okay. So let's do this. Ask your question to Brother Lamothe first, since we went with Brother Ray first last time. Your question to Brother Lamothe.
Okay. Brother Lamothe, I'd like to know why are you running for re-election in the first vice president?
So just so Brother Ray can hear the question to Brother Lamothe is, why is Brother Lamothe running for re-election for international first vice president?
And I appreciate the question. This officer is seeking re-election because we're very passionate about Phi Beta Sigma. This position of vice president is not a figurehead position. It requires real work, real time, real energy, real resources to get us to a better place. We believe we have the unique skill and requisite skill set to move Sigma and its membership initiatives and membership services in a positive direction. We're not seeking this position for any prestige or for any title, because we don't need it. We want to continue the work that we started 2 years ago and help Phi Beta Sigma continue to grow at the chapter level, at the state level, at the regional level, and at the international level. Again, this officer wants to complete the job that he started 2 years ago by helping Phi Beta Sigma continue to grow.
Normally, we would give opportunity for rebuttal, but since you have a question directly to Brother Ray, you can go ahead and ask a question to Brother Ray, Brother Carlton.
Brother Ray, you're the current International Social Action Director. Yet you're leaving office of the International Social Action Director after one term to campaign for the International First Vice President. Why do you feel after one term you feel that the work that you started is now complete to now move on to the International First Vice President role?
So, Brother Ray, the question that is asked is, you have served in one term as International Director of Social Action. However, you are leaving that role to campaign and to run for International First Vice President. Why do you feel
that the work that you started in social action as director is now completed? You now move on to International First Vice, because it's evident that there's more work still to be done within social action. So conversation we had around here.
Why do you feel that your work is adequate to enable you to leave that role and move to International First Vice President?
Sure. All right. Great question. Well, one of the things I always want to make sure that the brothers know, the Constitution gives us 2 years. You get 2 years to do the work that you brothers elected us, that you elected us to do. I believe that in the role of social action, that we have elevated that office and that position in a way that has never been elevated in a very, very long time. We've had a lot of social action directors in Phi Beta Sigma. I am very confident and very pleased with a lot of the work that a lot of our social action directors have done across the country, and the work that our chapters have been doing in social action. We've seen the jump in our PIAs, in the work that the chapters have been doing nationally and on many of the programs. The purpose why I'm running now that I'm running for First Vice President is because I realize that in the role of First Vice President, that there's better work that could be done. We celebrate the growth that Brother Lamothe is talking about, but there is a different Sigma that is brewing. There's a different way of thinking for the future, and I don't believe that the current officer is bringing that dynamic thinking that is going to move Phi Beta Sigma forward. When you run for Vice President, there's 2 things that that we have to always be thinking of as members. Can that individual serve if something was happening to the president? Can that individual serve as the president of this organization if something was to take place? And secondly, does the current officer, are they really doing things that are really going to be, that's next level, that's really moving the organization forward and thinking in a different way of thinking? And I don't believe that we're getting that out of our current First Vice President. He's built off of the good work that the last 4 vice presidents have done, and absolutely we should be growing. Phi Beta Sigma has been growing exponentially, has been growing for the last 14 years. So the number that he's putting out there, 12.5%, that's no surprise, because that's the work that we've been doing. The question is that what is the next page, the next chapter of the fraternity, and is this vice president ready to take us there? And I don't believe that they are. That's why I'm running for vice president.
Can I offer this?
Okay.
Question.
No rebuttal?
He gets a rebuttal. He gets a rebuttal.
He can't, no rebuttals?
I'm sorry?
He gets a rebuttal.
We haven't done votes at this point, but we will, because we asked 2 questions, so we'll take it. Next question, Brother Ajay.
Besides working with state directors, in my state, we have no reasons for last.
Questions, Brother Ajay, questions, not soliloquies.
It's a question. The question is, what are we going to do to get New York City, the 5 boroughs, back up and running?
So we'll ask this question of Brother Ray first. What will you do personally as International First Vice President to get New York City back to?
All the 5 boroughs have no collegiates.
So what can you do as International First Vice President to get the collegiate chapters in New York City back active? Brother Ray, you're first, 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, again, of course, I have a vested interest in that with my son attending a university, a Pace University in New York. So, of course, I have a vested interest in the collegiate chapters, picking up the case there in New York. But I think it goes back to us going back to the basics as an organization and really looking at developing the right kind of relationships, sitting down with the state director of New York, sitting down with the chapter presidents of New York, those graduate chapter presidents, and really looking at what is the challenges that we're facing and why is it that we are not bringing in, brothers to our collegiate chapters. As vice president of the organization, you have to develop a true plan that's going to be that's not going to be broad stroke for the entire nation, but be specific for every state. And until I truly understand the issues of the state of New York, we won't be able to really address what we have to get done.
All right, well, we want 30 seconds.
Very quickly, Brother John, again, I think it's very important to identify all the collegiate chapters that are not functioning. Sit down with the state directors, sit down with the chapter presidents, alumni chapters, and devise a specific action plan. I said there's a specific action plan for every chapter that's not currently functioning. And within that plan, have a sustainability plan to ensure that they're going to be successful at their respective chapters. But I want to take 30 seconds 10 seconds to say that, you gotta speak the truth, all right? Our fraternity has not grown 12.5 prior to this administration. We've grown to the tune of 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. Under this administration, over the last 2 years, we've grown 12.5. Never been done before. Thank you.
All right, next question is from Brother
Brother
Ray, we gotta try to get through these questions. Brother Spicer.
All right, go ahead.
The current international vice president has grown the organization 12.5% during his first term of office. So clearly, organizational growth is not an issue. So why would you make it of the cornerstone of your campaign, Brother Christia Rey, ready, set, grow, when this brother here, international vice president, has only grown 12.5%?
That's right. That's right.
So the question to Brother Ray is, and I think Brother Ray, you're gonna respond to it anyway. Is the question from the floor is that there is a disagreement that the international first vice president has grown the membership 12.5%. So why would you make that fact not a part of your campaign?
Why would the cornerstone of his campaign?
Why would the cornerstone of your campaign be that has not happened? So Brother Ray, that question is for you. Sure.
So the cornerstone of my campaign is really focusing on the value added of being a member of Phi Beta Sigma. But when we talk about the 12.5%, and again, we celebrate the growth of the organization, but when you really peel back the numbers, we're growing 12.5%, and that growth area has been mainly in our alumni chapter areas, whereby for the last 2 years of this vice president's term, we've been hurting in our areas of collegiate chapters. Our collegiate chapters have not grown, and obviously we can see it by what's happening in the state of New York, because the plan, the 5 R's, obviously isn't working in the state of New York, or there hasn't been an attention that's been there. Our HBCUs our numbers aren't coming in the numbers that we expect them, and on our PWIs, we're still hurting. We're still hurting. So the cornerstone of my campaign, again, when you talk about the 12.5%, it's kind of like Donald Trump, who's taking credit for the economy, but there was a lot of work that was done long before he became the president. It's the same thing here today. We celebrated 12.5%, but there was four vice presidents before him that laid that groundwork. But the collegiate chapters are still hurting across the country.
Time, Brother Ray. All right, next question, Brother Weeks. Brother Weeks, your question is for both candidates, one candidate.
It's for Brother Ray.
Okay, all right, Brother Weeks. Still a trend developer here.
So the question is, if we're debating the 12.5%, whatever that is, right?
Okay.
Tell us 1 or 2 specific strategies that he's going to put forth that's going to address the issue that he's talking about, which is we're hurting at the collegiate level. What's he going to do specifically to address that?
So Brother Ray, and we'll give 2 minutes. We'll give 2 minutes 30 seconds on this response. Give specific strategies that you will implement as International First Vice President to fix or improve membership at the collegiate level. 2 minutes 30 seconds starting now.
So one of the things that I've done when I initially announced that I was running for vice president, I sent out a survey across the country, and the response that I've got back, especially from the brothers who at the collegiate level, has been that they're looking for tools from the national office for them to do the work that they're doing, that they need to get done on their college campuses. And I've said this multiple times across the country, and I'll say it again. Low-hanging fruit. We don't even as a fraternity have a video that you all can play at an informational that tells the Sigma story. Those are the kind of tools that should be coming out of the office of vice president. from a technology standpoint, we are not doing the things that are necessary to provide that next level of thinking for Phi Beta Sigma. Could you imagine a collegiate brother going in, pulling down a video from a Sigma digital library and being able to hear information from a brother who is a HR director, giving him the tips that he needs in order for him to be able to get ready for his next job? Could you imagine a brother who wants to buy a house, go to the Sigma Digital Library and pull down information from a brother who is in that space and be able to give him the tips that he needs? If you're getting ready for retirement, if you're getting ready to move on, Phi Beta Sigma, we should be able to provide tools for our brothers that at every phase of their life, that they can say that if it wasn't for my fraternity, I don't know where I would be. And one of the things that I would focus on, just like 14 years ago when I conceived the blueprint, when I said we have to have a membership, we have to have a way for brothers to pay their dues online. Well, that was Brother Ray who did that. That went to Brother Ray who came up with that idea to help to develop what we now call the blueprint. And so what I'm going to do is take, this global experience that I have, this knowledge, and be able to give this next level tools that the brothers need in order for them to enhance their experience. And if you enhance their experience, then they're going to pay their dues. They're going to stay financial. They're going to stay engaged with Phi Beta Sigma. That's what I bring to the office of First Vice President. Not just us just talking about numbers, but actually bringing tools to the office to be able to do
30
it.
seconds, brother.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, 30 seconds, brother. We'll go to rebuttal.
Ironic that Brother Ray talks about tools, because we do have a membership video on YouTube that specifically talks to how we recruit. This vice president has worked with state directors that we created specific tools. We have a recruitment tool for HBCUs as well as PWIs on Blueprint. We have a specific tool for retention on Blueprint. We have a specific tool for reactivation. You saw the video. It's also on Blueprint. So brothers, these tools that Brother Ray is talking about, this vice president already has them, and they're on Blueprint and they're on YouTube. So please go to those resources and utilize them. But guess what, brothers? Chapters are already using them because it's effective. Again, as I said earlier in the intro, our program is being implemented at the chapter level, which has caused an escalation.
Thank you. All right, brothers, we are running short on time, and we have a queue of questions, so we're trying to get through. So ask your questions quickly, please. Brother Samuel, you're next.
Yeah, see, I'm all about measurable data.
All right, we need a
My
question.
question is for both Ray and Brother Lamothe. Please quantify, it's not a question, I guess it's more of a statement.
We
Please
need
quantify-
questions.
Questions,
Brother Samuel.
questions.
If it's a statement, Frat, we're going to move on.
Statement with a response. Please quantify with measurable data, your accomplishments during your first term. So I guess he has a first term, and what he was doing with social action, and Jet has his first term with his vice president.
So 30 seconds for each candidate. Brother Lamar, you're first. Please quantify your accomplishments during your first term.
This office is required to grow membership. We've done that. This office is required to improve or increase visibility. We've done that with the development of Mild Mondays. This office is required to help enhance MIP. We have improved our MIP automation process by driving. We got 40% of alumni chapters and 60% of community chapters that are now doing MIP automation. That was driven by this particular officer. The MIP certification, which is led by this region, we also got that in the southern region and in the Great Lakes region to also do MIP certification.
Brother Ray, 30 seconds.
Sure. In the Office of Social Action, one of the things that we focused on and quantitatively has our MIP numbers, our PIA numbers that have been through our engagement has gone up over 50% since I've taken office. And one of the areas that we focus on now more than ever. Before I came in office, it was always about March of Dimes. It was always about those program areas. But when we talk about advocacy for the organization, we have had more chapters across the country that is focused on advocacy than we've ever had before. We've had more statements that have come out not only from the national office, but from our local offices. We've had more chapters that have been engaged with our voter registration, voter activation, voter education, and voter mobilization. We've provided tools for our brothers. We've provided election tools for our brothers and our chapters.
Thank you, Brother Ray. Thank you. Darren Penix, next question.
All right.
Y'all brothers, y'all asking the questions along in the answer, brothers.
No, my question is for Brother Ray. You said that you're busy and that you work. How can we believe that you'll be able to put the time in to perform as a first VP if you can't put the time in to even talk to, visit, or see brothers during a campaign year?
So, Brother Ray, the question is, will you have the time with your busy schedule to serve as international first vice president?
That's not what I said.
That's not it. That's not what he
That's not
asked.
what I said.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, wearing this uniform, doing all the things that I've been doing.
He said he's too
At a
busy.
high level, and absolutely will be able to do it as first vice president. I'm looking forward to doing it. Thank you.
And is that,
Next question.
Sorry. If the brother can explain what he meant by saying taking us to the next level, could he express, in his opening statement, he talked about taking it to the next level. I just want him to define what that is to us.
So, question for Brother Ray, and then we'll give Brother Lamothe opportunity to rebut here. Can you explain or expand on taking it to the next level? 45 seconds, Brother Ray.
Oh my God, 45 seconds. Well, okay, again, our current first vice president talks about the tools that we're using right now. Maybe you all have seen those tools in there, maybe our collegians have, but I will tell you that I've spoken to state directors, I've spoken to chapters across the country, and they have not been communicated that those tools are there. And when we do look at some of those tools, they're not hitting the mark as it relates to what the chapters and what the brothers are really asking, or how they're supposed to be able to move forward. I'm a communicator. If there's anything that I can do, that I can just communicate, it's communicate. And one of the things, and again, it's bringing a different level of investment in technology that's going to bring tools to the brothers that are going to allow for them to not only have a great experience in Sigma, but also out of Sigma. And I wish I could give it to you more in 45 seconds, but brother Puelo is kind of on the top.
Thank you.
I haven't really heard the response to the question, but what I wanted to say to you specifically about next level, next term, one of the things that this officer wants to focus on is global expansion. I think that's an area that we're definitely going to focus on. You may or may not have already heard that this officer has been working with brothers. We're going to charter a chapter in Toronto, Canada. Very excited about that. Working with the Southern Regional Director about starting a chapter in Puerto Rico. Very excited about that. Working with the international headquarters about recharting the chapters that we have in the Virgin Islands. Very excited about that. You all know that we have a school in the country of Ghana. Why not have a chapter in Ghana as well? So looking to focus on next level, next term is global expansion. That's one of the answers to your question.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brother Lamothe. Brothers Howard, Thomas, Ashley, and Wilson, you all have asked 4 questions. So please, for the brothers I named, please get your questions ready so we can be timely. Brother Tyrone Scotty Howard, your question.
can I ask 2-part questions or?
Yeah,
Please, all right.
hurry up,
All right.
right.
He's got a new job at Sodexo. How is he going to find the time as a new employee to travel the country as much as Brother Lamothe has in the past year, since he's so busy working his new job?
Brother Ray, with your new position at Sodexo, how will you find time to travel the country as Brother Lamothe has over the last 2 years? 15 seconds.
Well, one of the good things about being a corporate guy is that I travel around the country all the time. And so when I'm traveling on Sodexo's dime, I get the opportunity to visit chapters locally. So that's something that you all shouldn't have to worry about. I always find a way. Anyone who knows my commitment and dedication to Sigma, I always find a way. The great thing about being a corporate guy is that I get a chance to travel very extensively. I did it just a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, where I was in Chicago on Sodexo business and was able to put in some Sigma business there at the same time.
Time on that, Brother Ray. Thank you. Only so Brother Howard can ask the second part of this question.
Yeah, that's why he's here today, because he has the time. But why do you think that it's brotherly to unseat a progressive incumbent that has had more membership growth and retention in Sigma history, excluding the centennial year, which was an anomaly?
Want to read it?
Why don't I let you ask the
Okay.
question?
Yeah, I got that right. I got you back, Will.
Yeah, Brother Ray, why do you think that it's brotherly to unseat a progressive incumbent that has had more membership growth and retention in the history of Sigma, excluding the centennial year, which was an anomaly?
All right, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
that
give
We
you-
deep,
We'll
motherfucker.
give you, Brother Ray, we'll do 60 seconds on that, and then we'll give Brother Lamont opportunity to reply.
Yeah.
I will say this, brothers, that in our fraternity, we always believe that no one deserves 2 terms. You got to fight for your first term. You got to fight for your second term. And we should never be comfortable with the fact that anyone is owed anything. I would have expected it out of all the good work that we've done in social action. I would have expected someone to run against me. And Brother Lamont should have not think that he would have been able to roll right into a second term
He
as
didn't
vice
say that.
president of this organization. The Constitution doesn't. The Constitution gives us 2 years, and then you come back to the brotherhood and you make your case again. And I will tell you that the numbers, as he says, as he puts out, the growth of our collegiate chapters are hurting around the country. And even though he celebrates the good, he needs to also accept the not so good that's happening across the country with our collegiate chapters. Those chapters, we took in less collegiate brothers last year than we've ever taken in before over the last few years. There are still holes in those numbers, and I think it's disingenuous when I think it's disingenuous when they say that we just have this great growth. We've had a lot of great transfer of brothers that have gone into alumni chapters, but we are hurting at the alumni at the collegiate level. And why not be able to have a collegiate leader who has been a collegiate leader before to also lead in that area?
All right, well, Lamont, 30 seconds to reply, and we'll go to the next question.
Very quickly, all we want to say specifically to this office that the numbers don't lie. Okay, numbers don't lie, numbers don't lie. We have been very intentional, we have been very proactive, we've been very comprehensive with our plan. We have created financial incentives tied to our 5 Rs. We've recognized chapters that are excelling, that are advocates of membership growth. So again, we clearly have demonstrated the ability and the skill set to grow our fraternity. And we've never said that, because we really don't think competition is good. What we are saying is that look at the records, look at the results, and then give us enough opportunities to continue to grow 586.
Thank you, Brother Lamont. Next question, Brother Community Thomas.
Hey, Brother Ray. The international first vice president's job is to increase membership, correct? So here's the question. Has the current international first vice president increased membership?
The current first vice president, again, and I've said this, we celebrate the number that the first vice president is putting out there. What I will not accept is the fact that we are still hurting in all levels of membership in the organization. And so even though we can celebrate a part of it, it's not the true picture. And if you want an officer who's going to give you the true picture, then this is the officer that I would suggest that you vote for. Because again, you can't celebrate the alumni and don't celebrate our collegiate brothers. And that's where we're hurting in the organization. And I will say this, 4 vice presidents before this vice president have all been growing membership in this organization. Whether it was 1%, whether it's 1%, whether it's 2%, they laid the groundwork and he has absolutely benefited from that. But what I've learned in the 2 years is that his plan doesn't help all of the stigma. It's just part of the stigma. And his plan is going to help all of our collegiate brothers. I mean, all of our brothers, not just the alumni brothers.
Thank you. We're not going to do it all on that necessary time, because we have 2 more questions. Brother Cedric Ashley.
So the leadership by example, and obviously the first vice president position about membership.
Brothers, we didn't hear Brother Ashley.
Leadership by example, and obviously the first vice president position is on membership, which is brotherhood. I believe you're a resident of Northern New Jersey. What is it about Chi Sigma that prevented you from becoming a member?
So the question for Brother Ashley is, what is it about Chi Sigma chapter, as you are a resident of Northern New Jersey, that prevented you from joining Chi Sigma chapter as you live in Northern New Jersey? Brother Ray, that question is to you. We'll give you 30 seconds.
That's a great question. Because why? Because I know that the sitting vice president lived in New Jersey. I didn't want to be messy. I didn't want to create that political mess that brothers say. I know I worked in Jersey. I got an apartment in Newark, but I know that it's important that we still keep the discord to a low level. And I respected him enough, and I respected his brother to Jersey enough to not create and stir that pot. So that's why my membership is here in North Virginia, where still my family still resides. So that's why I didn't join Chi Sigma. But had it been different, had he lived somewhere else, I would have been a member of Chi Sigma.
One quick follow-up, Brother Ashley, then we'll move on.
Well, by nature, doesn't that continue to promote politics over brotherhood?
Ooh. Boom.
Okay, but the follow-up question, Brother Ray, is doesn't that by nature promote politics over brotherhood?
Does that promote politics? No, I don't think so. I respect, let me tell you, I respect the fact that Brother Jim's from Jersey. I respect the fact of the Jersey delegation. And I thought it would have lessened. And if I was wrong in that decision, then charge it to my head and not my heart. Because I thought that it would have been better for me not to be in the same state as sitting vice president. I did. And I thought that that would have stirred the pot more. But had I thought another way, then I would have joined the Chi Sigma. But I just didn't think that it would have been proper for me to be in the same state with the sitting vice president when I knew that I was going to run for the office. That's why.
All right, thank you, Brother Ray. All right, last question. Our former Jersey bro, now living in Florida. We let him back in today, just for the day.
From the southern region.
Question from the
All right.
PBS fellow classmate, Brother Chris Wilson.
Good evening, brothers. The question is, are we noticing a trend where Brother Ray doesn't finish a term or doesn't go get another term for positions? Because we heard him talk about technical deficiencies in the organization. If memory serves me correctly from his intro, he was a past director of technology.
Okay, so
Give him
Let him ask.
It's the last one.
let me let you ask the question. I want to make sure. Let me let you ask.
Brother Ray, the question is, are we noticing a trend where we don't seek re-election for a position because you talked about technical deficiencies in our organization and you were the director of technology?
I think it's
Technical, I didn't,
I think it's
technical,
a social
technical
action.
deficiencies?
Yeah, same deficiencies.
The technical deficiencies.
I got it, man. I can't.
I don't recall saying we have technical deficiencies. No. Well, first of all, the director of technology is not an elected position; it's an appointed position. When I was regional director, I shared with then sitting President Paul Griffin that we need to develop a system that's going to allow for us to be able to pay our dues online and create a membership portal. When Jimmy Hammock became president, Brother Hammock then appointed me as the director of technology, and during that time period, I did the research that ended up what we now call the IMA system, that we now employ as our membership portal system. And then when Brother Mason became president, he then appointed a new IT director who then branded that system that we founded as the blueprint. And so now what we have to do is in the next generation, I'm an IT officer by trade. I'm a signal officer, cybersecurity officer, so I have an IT background. In this next wave of leadership, what my hope is to bring my level of expertise to be able to enhance the current system that we have, but also look at the future investment that we need to make as a fraternity. Because when you start talking about having videos that are going to train our brothers, then that's a level of investment that's going to be needed at the general board level that I will be bringing to the table for us. So no technical deficiencies, but actually us enhancing where we